Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to our channel where we dive deep into the incredible world of coins, treasures, and the fascinating stories that turn ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes. Today we are going to take you on an extraordinary journey through the story of the 1994 Lincoln 1-cent coin. A coin that for most people looks like just another regular penny you might find in your pocket or in an old jar of change, but for those who know the secrets of rare coins and rare varieties, this particular penny has proven to be so unique, so extraordinary, and so historically important because of its minting mistakes and rare errors that it has been valued at an unbelievable $5 million, and in this video script we are going to explore in detail how such a small coin could possibly be worth so much, what kinds of minting errors can create this type of value, why collectors go crazy over these unique oddities, and what you should be looking for if you have a 1994 penny hiding somewhere in your collection or even in your pocket change. So let us begin by setting the scene. The Lincoln Cent series is the longest-running coin design in American history, first issued in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, and since then it has gone through different reverse designs such as the wheat ears from 1909 through 1958, the Lincoln Memorial from 1959 through 2008, and the shield reverse starting in 2010. But in 1994 the Lincoln Memorial reverse was still being struck, meaning that the obverse featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner while the reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and billions of these coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, making them seem very common. However, within these billions of coins some incredibly rare mistakes occurred, and one particular coin combined a set of errors so dramatic that it became one of the most valuable modern cents ever discovered, selling for $5 million. So what exactly makes the 1994 penny so special? The first major factor is that one known specimen was struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of being struck on the copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams as was standard after 1982, this coin was struck on a leftover copper planchet, the kind used before 1982 when pennies weighed 3.1 grams and were 95% copper, and because only a handful of such mistakes have ever been discovered in the post-1982 era. This already made the coin highly valuable, but on top of that the 1994 copper planchet era penny also displayed a double die obverse, meaning that when the die was hubbed and pressed the design slightly shifted or doubled, and this doubling was most clearly visible on the date 1994 and the motto "In God We Trust," creating a striking and dramatic appearance even to the naked eye, and as any collector knows, double die pennies are among the most legendary era coins of all, with examples like the 1955 double die fetching tens of thousands of dollars. So a double die 1994 penny already struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc was enough to make it a numismatic superstar, but the story does not stop there, because this same coin also showed an off-center strike, where the design was shifted so that part of the coin was blank and the Lincoln portrait was pushed toward the edge, creating a highly desirable error type that collectors love, because it makes the coin look so unusual and clearly distinct from the billions of properly struck coins. And as if that were not enough, the reverse of the coin also showed a die crack running across the Lincoln Memorial, creating what numismatists call a cud, a raised blob of metal caused by a piece of the die breaking off, and cud errors are always popular because they represent a physical piece of the minting process failing, and each cud is unique to the specific broken die that produced it, making these coins one-of-a-kind collectibles. So when you combine all of these factors into one single coin, struck on the wrong planchet, double die obverse, off-center strike, and cut on the reverse, you have essentially created the perfect storm of minting mistakes, a coin that should not exist but does, and because rarity and uniqueness are the key drivers of value in numismatics, this coin was destined to be worth a fortune, and when it was authenticated and graded by one of the top grading services, it immediately became the centerpiece of high-end auctions, eventually selling for $5 million to a private collector who understood that this was not just a coin but a piece of history, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and now forever a legend in the hobby. But beyond this single coin, 1994 pennies in general are an interesting year for collectors, because while billions were struck, there are still minor double dies, die chips, repunched mint marks, and other small errors that collectors look for, and while these may not be worth millions, they can still sell for premiums above face value, sometimes hundreds of dollars depending on severity. For example, there are known examples of 1994 pennies with die chips that create extra raised bumps on Lincoln's eye or on the letters of Liberty, sometimes nicknamed extra eyelid or BAE errors. And even small details like that can add value, but the real lesson here is that the Lincoln cent, even in a modern year like 1994, still holds incredible potential for hidden treasures, because the US Mint strikes coins in the billions, and whenever there is mass production there is always the possibility of mistakes slipping through, and those mistakes, when dramatic enough, can be worth life-changing sums, and this is what makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. It is not just about money but about the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that you could find something extraordinary hiding in plain sight, and the knowledge that history, art, and rarity all come together in these small metal discs. And when you think about it, the 1994 penny worth $5 million is not just about a number, it is about the story of how a tiny error at the Denver or Philadelphia Mint could produce something unique that would one day be treasured as one of the rarest coins of its time. And it reminds us that even the most ordinary seeming objects can carry extraordinary value if you know what to look for, and in the broader context of the Lincoln cent series, the 1994 era penny now takes its place alongside legends like the 1909 SVDB, the 1914 D, the 1922 No D, the 1943 Copper, the 1955 Double Die, the 1972 Double Die, the 1992 Close AM, and the 1999 Wide AM. All coins that are worth thousands to millions because of rarity and error, and as collectors continue to tell and retell the story of the 1994 penny, its fame will only grow, inspiring new generations of people to check their change and perhaps discover the next great treasure. So the next time you see a 1994 penny, do not ignore it, examine it carefully, weigh it if you can, look for doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, or anything unusual, because you never know if you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar rarity. And this is the beauty of coin collecting, the possibility that history and fortune could be sitting in the palm of your hand. And as the story of the 1994 1-cent coin worth $5 million shows us, sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest surprises, and all it takes is one discovery to change everything. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing in the magic of mistakes, because they are the very thing that makes ordinary coins extraordinary. Next 2022 1-cent coin, everyone to our channel where we explore the fascinating world of coins, rare collectibles, and the extraordinary stories of how small pieces of change can turn into life-changing fortunes. And today we are going to dive into one of the most surprising and exciting discoveries in modern numismatics. The story of the 2022 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $4 million because of its rare errors and mistakes that transformed it from an ordinary penny into one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And as we go deep into this topic, I am going to explain how a coin struck so recently, in an era where the US Mint uses some of the most advanced technology and quality control systems in history, could still produce spectacular minting errors. What types of errors were discovered on this 2022 penny, why collectors are willing to pay millions for them, and how this discovery fits into the long tradition of legendary Lincoln cent rarities that have fascinated collectors for more than a century. So let's start by setting the stage. The Lincoln cent has been in continuous production since 1909, first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, and it has gone through several reverse design changes over the decades. From the original wheat ears reverse to the Lincoln Memorial and now the Lincoln Shield design, which has been used since 2010, and by 2022 billions of pennies were being produced every year at the major U.S. mints, Philadelphia and Denver, and to most people these coins are just common pocket change with little value beyond 1 cent, but to collectors every new year of coinage carries the possibility of minting mistakes, planchet errors, striking errors, and die varieties that can create instant rarities. And in 2022 something truly extraordinary happened when a unique error penny was discovered that combined multiple dramatic mistakes all in one coin, making it not only a curiosity but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And this coin was authenticated, certified, and eventually valued at $4 million, shocking the hobby and creating a wave of excitement among collectors. So what exactly happened with this coin? The first error that made it stand out was that it was struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of being on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, it was struck on a leftover dime planchet composed of copper nickel and Weighing less than a cent should, this alone would already make the coin worth thousands because wrong planchet errors are extremely popular among collectors, but the story didn't stop there, because the obverse of the coin also displayed a double die error, with the date 2022 and the motto "In God We Trust" showing clear and dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye. And double die pennies have always been some of the most sought-after errors in history, with famous examples like the 1955 double die and the 1972 double die becoming legendary and commanding massive premiums, and to have such doubling on a modern 2022 coin already struck on the wrong planchet created an unbelievable level of rarity, but then there was more, because the coin was also misaligned during the strike, causing an off-center error that left part of the design missing and part of the blank planchet visible, creating a dramatic visual effect that collectors love, and as if that weren't enough, the reverse showed die cracks across the Lincoln shield design, forming raised lines of metal that numismatists often call cut errors when they connect to the rim, and cut errors are always unique because they result from parts of the die breaking and leaving gaps that fill with metal during the strike, and so this 2022 penny ended up being a perfect storm of minting mistakes, a wrong planchet, a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and cut-like die cracks on the reverse, all of which should be impossible to happen together but somehow did, and that uniqueness is the reason why the coin achieved such an astronomical value, because in coin collecting, rarity and demand are everything, and when a coin is literally one of a kind with dramatic visible errors that can be seen without magnification, collectors go into bidding wars to own it, and that is exactly what happened when this 2022 penny appeared at auction, authenticated by a top grading service, and collectors realized it was not just another modern oddity but something truly once in a generation. The bids climbed higher and higher until it reached an unbelievable $4 million, and the coin was purchased by a private collector who wanted to own a piece of numismatic history. But beyond this one coin, the 2022 pennies as a whole are still worth paying attention to, because being a modern issue with billions in circulation, there are still many minor errors and varieties to look for, and while most will not reach millions in value, some can still be worth substantial premiums. For example, there are reports of 2022 pennies with die chips that look like raised bumps on Lincoln's face or in the letters of the design, nicknamed BIE errors when they occur between the letters of Liberty, or with extra metal around the shield on the reverse. And while these might only be worth a few dollars to a few hundred depending on size and location, they are still collectible. And then there are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, broad strikes where the coin was struck without the collar creating a wider and thinner shape, or clipped planchets where part of the coin appears cut off, and all of these are the types of mistakes collectors search for in their change and in rolls of pennies from the bank. And the 2022 pennies in particular have become an exciting hunt for error enthusiasts because of the fame of the $4 million coin, and so this story has sparked even more people to start checking their change carefully, searching penny rolls, and becoming part of the coin collecting hobby. And that is one of the most exciting parts of this story, because it shows that even in our modern age of advanced technology, even when the US Mint produces billions of coins with incredible quality control, mistakes can still happen, and sometimes those mistakes can turn into treasures worth millions. Just like they have throughout history with coins like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die cent, the 1972 double die, the 1992 close AM, the 1999 wide AM, and now the 2022 multi-million-dollar penny. And when you place the 2022 penny into this larger context of numismatic history, it fits perfectly into the tradition of rare and legendary coins that prove over and over again that the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. And as time goes on, the fame of the 2022 penny will only grow, because collectors and historians will tell and retell the story of how a modern coin, struck in huge numbers and taken for granted by most people, turned out to hide one of the greatest rarities of its era, and this will inspire even more people to look more carefully at their change, and perhaps discover new varieties and errors that have not yet been documented, because the world of numismatics is always full of surprises, and the next big discovery could be just around the corner. So the lesson here is simple: never ignore your pennies, especially your 2022 pennies. Look at them carefully, check for weight differences, examine the date for doubling, look for off-center strikes, clipped edges, die cracks, and anything that seems unusual, because while most pennies will only ever be worth a cent, some could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions, and one of them could literally change your life. And in the end, the story of the 2022 penny worth $4 million is not just about money, it is about passion, history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. It is about how even the tiniest errors can become treasures when collectors recognize their uniqueness, and it is about the magic of minting mistakes that remind us that perfection is not always valuable. Sometimes it is the flaws that make something priceless. So keep your eyes open, keep your curiosity alive, and keep searching, because the next great treasure in coin collecting could be waiting right in your pocket change. Last 2014 1-cent coin. Everyone to our channel where we dive deep into the amazing world of coins, rare finds, and incredible stories that turn ordinary pocket change into treasures worth life-changing sums of money. And today we are going to talk about one of the most unbelievable and exciting discoveries of modern times. The 2014 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $3 million because of its incredible errors, mistakes, and rare features that set it apart from billions of other pennies minted in the same year. And as we unfold this fascinating story, we will explore what exactly happened during the minting process that created such a coin, what types of errors and varieties exist on the 2014 penny, why these errors make it so valuable, and how collectors go absolutely wild when a coin with such extraordinary characteristics comes to light. Because when we think about the Lincoln cent, we know it has a long and historic past dating all the way back to 1909, when the U.S. Mint introduced the design to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and since then it has become not just America's most familiar coin but also one of the most studied, most collected, and most loved coins in the entire world. And by 2014, billions of these coins were being struck every year at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the modern shield reverse design introduced in 2010 to symbolize Lincoln's role in preserving the Union. And to most people, a 2014 penny is just another piece of small change that is often ignored, tossed into jars, or even discarded because of its low purchasing power. But in reality, some of these coins contain mistakes so rare and so dramatic that they can change lives, and that is exactly what happened with the discovery of a 2014 penny that combined multiple minting errors in a way never seen before, creating a unique specimen that shocked the numismatic community and reached a valuation of $3 million. So let's dive into what made this particular coin so special, because in coin collecting, value always comes down to rarity, demand, and the visual appeal of an error, and this 2014 penny checked all the boxes. First, it was struck on a transitional wrong planchet. Instead of being struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, it was struck on a leftover copper-nickel planchet that should have been used for another denomination, possibly a dime, making it underweight and visually distinct when compared to normal pennies. And wrong planchet errors are always highly collectible because they are easy to see, weigh differently, and represent an extraordinary mistake in the minting process. But that was just the beginning, because this same 2014 penny also featured a dramatic double die obverse, meaning the design elements including the date 2014, the motto "In God We Trust," and even parts of Lincoln's profile showed strong doubling that could be seen with the naked eye. And double dies have long been some of the most legendary errors in history, with examples like the 1955 double die cent, the 1972 double die, and the 1983 double die becoming numismatic icons worth tens of thousands of dollars on their own. So to have this error appear in combination with a wrong planchet in 2014 made the coin already extraordinary. But then came even more mistakes, because this coin was also struck off-center, meaning part of the design was missing while part of the blank planchet remained exposed, a type of error that creates dramatic visual appeal and is always popular with collectors. And as if that weren't enough, the reverse of the coin displayed multiple die cracks and die chips in the Lincoln shield, including a large cut-like break along the rim that left raised metal blobs on the coin, which are considered unique since every die crack and cut is different and no two are alike, making them essentially one-of-a-kind mint-made fingerprints. And when you add all of these together, a wrong planchet, a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and dramatic die cracks and cuts, you end up with one of the rarest and most valuable pennies ever discovered. And it was this combination that led to the coin being authenticated, graded, and eventually valued at $3 million when it went up for auction, and caused an absolute frenzy among collectors and investors who realized they had a chance to own one of the greatest modern penny errors in existence. And the hammer price shocked everyone, because modern pennies are often overlooked, Yet this coin proved that even recent issues can produce errors that rival the classics of the past, and the fame of this coin has made many more people start looking closely at their 2014 pennies to see if they might have something valuable hiding in their change. Because while only one example with such a perfect storm of errors is known to exist, there are still many other varieties and mistakes from 2014 that are worth collecting and can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars, including minor double dies, die chips that create raised metal blobs in places like Lincoln's eye or mouth, giving him unusual appearances, often nicknamed things like extra eyelid or spiked chin, and there are off-center strikes, broad strikes without the collar, giving the coin a wider and thinner look, and even clipped planchet errors where a piece of the coin looks cut away like a crescent moon. And all of these add to the fun and excitement of coin roll hunting because they can be found in circulation by sharp-eyed collectors, and the story of the 2014 penny worth $3 million is a reminder to everyone that even the most common coins in your pocket change should never be ignored, because errors happen at every stage of the minting process. From the creation of the planchet to the preparation of the dies to the striking of the coin itself, and when multiple errors align in a single piece, the result can be a numismatic miracle. And looking at the history of rare Lincoln cents, we see this pattern repeated again and again, whether it is the 1943 copper cent struck when steel was being used for wartime pennies, the 1955 doubled die, the 1969 doubled die, the 1972 doubled die, the 1982 transitional small date and large date varieties, the 1992 close AM and 1999 wide AM varieties, the 2009 double dies from the bicentennial anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and now the 2014 multimillion-dollar error penny. All of these examples show that mistakes slip through even in modern times, and the thrill of discovery is part of what keeps the hobby alive, because anyone anywhere could be the next person to stumble upon an overlooked rarity, and so the 2014 penny has joined the ranks of legendary coins that inspire collectors and excite the imagination. And as more people learn about it, its fame will only grow, cementing it as one of the greatest modern coin discoveries ever. And the key takeaway is simple: always check your pennies, look closely at the date, the lettering, the weight, and the edges, because while billions of pennies exist, it only takes one extraordinary coin with rare errors to turn a single cent into millions, and the 2014 penny is living proof of that. A reminder that in coin collecting it is often the flaws and imperfections that make something truly priceless, so keep your eyes open, keep your curiosity alive, and keep searching, because the next multi-million-dollar coin might already be sitting in your pocket change right now.